Recorded Books presents A Face for Picasso, Coming of Age with Crouzon Syndrome by Ariel Henley, narrated by the author. To my incredible family, Mom, Dad, Alexis, Marissa, Aaron, Zan, and Roger, I could not have done this without you. I love you endlessly. I want my story heard because, ironically, I believe Picasso was right. I believe we could paint a better world if we learned how to see it from all perspectives, as many perspectives as we possibly could, because diversity is strength, difference is a teacher, fear difference, you learn nothing. Hannah Gadsby. Finding my voice. If you ask me about my childhood, I will tell you how magical it was. My twin sister Zan and I were the youngest of 5 kids, and together we grew up in a big white house that our father built and our mom decorated. It was a home filled with life. My siblings and I always had friends over, and if Zan and I weren't inside, we could be found playing on the swing set with the neighbors in the field behind our house. These were the stories I had planned to write about in my memoir, because at the end of the day, I want to normalize experiences like mine. But the more I wrote, the more I realized my childhood was anything but normal. I had a beautiful, privileged upbringing in so many ways, but my story is one rooted in the idea of beauty. So to write honestly about coming of age with Crouzon syndrome, I had to write about beauty through a lens of disfigurement. As a woman, I am defined by beauty, and as a woman with a facial difference, I am also defined by my very lack of the thing. This is a lesson I began learning in childhood. It's a lesson I want to destroy. Zan and I were born with Crouzon syndrome, a craniofacial condition where the bones in the head don't grow. Throughout our childhood, we had numerous operations that changed our appearance and saved our lives. Though we were born identical, with each surgery, we looked less like each other and less like ourselves. My changing appearance felt like being stripped of my identity. Who was I if I did not recognize my own reflection in the mirror? Who was my twin sister if she no longer looked like the person I knew? If she no longer looked like me? Though the physical aspect of our condition was sometimes painful, it was nothing compared to the emotional toll of navigating life with a facial difference. The everyday stares, comments, and subhuman treatment were constant reminders of our painful medical history and perceived shortcomings. We were treated as less attractive, less intelligent, and less worthy of basic respect. And yet, for the first 18 years of my life, I rarely spoke of my appearance or acknowledged that I was different. I got angry anytime anyone asked me about my face, my differences. How dare they, I thought. I tried to deny that people made fun of me, even though it happened openly every time I was in public. If I could deny the way I was treated, I could pretend it wasn't happening. But ignoring my experience meant denying an entire aspect of my identity. So no, I didn't write about all the magical moments of my childhood and teenage years. There are definitely some joyful memories and plenty of funny stories, but this memoir is mostly me exploring my differences as honestly as possible. Throughout this book, you will see that I use the terms facial difference and facial disfigurement interchangeably. Both describe an appearance that differs from the norm. Both describe individuals with craniofacial conditions and noticeable physical differences. Both describe me. And faces like mine are not as rare as you might think. This is a global issue, but popular media rarely explores what it's like to look different. And though Zan and I were just 2 of millions of people around the world living with facial differences, we grew up thinking we were outsiders. We grew up feeling alone. Part of this isolation came from growing up without stories about disfigurement. Not stories we've related to, anyway. Most of the stories I've seen, both as a child and as an adult, were written or told by people outside of the facial difference community, by people who didn't understand the complexity of our experiences. When disfigurement and other facial differences are discussed in mainstream media, they are typically used as tools to signify that a character in a story is evil. Think Scar in Lion King and Dr. Poison in Wonder Woman. Or as a token of inspiration for those without visible differences, think Augie Pullman in Wonder. The derogatory treatment of people with facial differences isn't new. It has roots in physiognomy, a pseudoscience claiming a person's physical appearance represents their moral character.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?